You want to start from the beginning? So we're looking at Why Is It Good? In your opinion, for this Angie and Debbie album from 1993 on the Frontline Records, why is this something that you want to bring to the table and say it's good?
You know what? Because I had it when it came out. I revisited it recently on one of my early morning walks, and I was like, yo, this album is so good. It's produced so well. It stands up against any BB and CC record, because I think that's the pattern that they follow, and rightfully so, because they were background singers for BB and CC most of their prime. And it's just really good. Great songs, great production. I think they just caught a raw deal because they were the youngest Winans. And I think that Debbie is actually one of the better Winans vocalists. Like, she's probably my favorite Winans vocalist between her and Martha.
Okay. So one of them to me sounds more like Whitney and another one sounds more like Toni Braxton in this album. Who has more of the Toni Braxton sound?
So what would you describe as like the Toni Braxton sound?
Well, it's more mannered. Like, okay, so we're looking at 1993. Both Whitney and Toni are still with us, obviously.
Yeah.
And there's phrasing, the way things are phrased, or that are in line with something that Whitney and Toni would do. Now, their tone is their own. It's unique, but it's, because of the phrasing, that sounds like Whitney or sounds like a Toni. I was like, okay, they sound very similar.
I think that maybe Angie would be more of the Toni Braxton, the one that has more of the Toni feel. She doesn't have a lot of runs, but she has like this other thing. And Debbie would probably be the one that's like Whitney. Some say that Debbie sounds like CeCe.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, they both do. I mean, it's the wine and blood. It feels it feels good. Now, what I do agree that this album it's strong, and I mean we're at 27 years already. And it sounds 90% of this is keyboard programming.
I agree.
And that is the win. It's not the dated. It didn't really do some of the things that were done at that time period. So it sounds smooth. It's kind of like Higher Love by Steve Winwood. It kind of transcends some of the age. It was just a little better done. So I agree that it's the keyboard programming that is the win for this with the girls' vocals. I look at it too as like we've been bouncing back and forth as to what album you wanted. And I was real key on having you do a whole bunch of stuff, and I was pushing. I kept on pushing stuff because I know that you are passionate about so many things. So we were talking about BB and CC, and I wanted to do a relationship or different lifestyle, and you were like you were balking at it. So when this came out, I was like, okay, all right, let's see what's going on. And you're right. There's something also about this album that this is a like Christian themed album, but there's not one mention about Jesus or God.
Right.
And it's almost to a point where it's so subliminal, it's overwhelming. Like it's almost it's almost like not there. And do you agree? Like like these girls are out of their Winan 10. There's 10 kids, so Angie's 9, Debbie's 10. Now they have like Winan 2.0 right now. There's been a lot of Winans out there. I guess understandable that something would slip through the cracks. It's unfortunate that it did because it's a good album.
Yeah.
Now, Angie, for me, I was a big fan of hers from her 2001 Melodies of My Heart album.
Oh, so you brought that?
Yeah. I
thought that was a great album.
Yeah. I actually thought that should have been a breakout album.
Yeah.
I know that she had some gay backlash where she both her and Deb did an anti-gay song from their second album. And I think that even though most people don't really care, like it's still a little tainted. That's all.
I was chilling on my couch one night, looking at my screen TV. There were people celebrating and congratulating the new addition to the gay community. I was vexed in my spirits. So I begin to write the song. It may seem cold, but let the truth be told. I'm here to let you know it's not natural. No, that's not the way it goes. It's not natural. Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's good. It's not natural. No, that's not the way God planned. It's not natural. Not natural.
Not natural.
I was, yeah, and I brought that album. I was just like, that was like, okay. I mean, that's to be expected of certain artists. My clip was, why is this album so not good? I mean, you know,
yeah,
I expected more. I expected more this time, you know, because that last album was so strong, and it was produced by like some of the greatest people. You know, Steve Lawrence, so many, and even BB, you know, did a lot of the writing. Background vocals featuring Stephanie Mills and like all these, you know what I'm saying? Such a strong project that when Bold came out, I was like, huh? And I think the issue with that album was letting Angie's husband produce the whole project.
Oh.
Like his production, it's a little bit too overproduced. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
the album sounds very overproduced and very plastic. You know,
I did research and I thought, well, what are people saying? This album is a 4.7 out of 5.
Wow.
Yeah. So the people who are rating it are saying that it's a worthy of a listen. It's amazing, and it's one put don't mix sacred and profane together. But everyone was very, very positive on this album. So that's hard to get for something that's this old to stay at that level.
And it's timeless music. If you listen to that record, that's what caught me when I was listening on my walk. I was like, yo, this is timeless. Like, I think BB guided that process. I really think that this album was really his baby. That's what I think. Especially when you talked about, like, the message being there but not so overtly subliminal. If you know, like, BB and CeCe's history, you know, CeCe was like, I'm going to worship. I'm going to worship. I'm going to worship. BB was like, you know, I'm going to, you know, do what I do in my way. And you see that thing with this album, but it was just, it's so strong. And the music is timeless. Like you said, they didn't use a lot of the dated things of that era. Like they was like, we're going to make music. And I'm glad that you could tell that at the forefront was, we're going to make this music, which often gets lost with gospel artists and Christian artists. You know what I mean? Because the message is timeless, so the music should be timeless. You feel me?
Yeah. Well,
you know,
we're gonna go. I mean, I took notes on track by track, so let's do that.
Oh yes, let's do that.
Yeah, we're gonna sample it. Some things are a little dated, but not like we'll go over it. But the first song is "Fact Is, Truth Is," and I just thought it was interesting, the whole topic of the blood discussion. Remember the drug? Yeah. So I guess I feel I'm spiritual less than religious, if that makes sense. And the blood, it's just I don't know where are we at with that? What are they trying to get at? I said it's a little Whitney, it's a little Tony, good keyboards. It's not overdone. It's very tasteful. It's a good way to start out an album. But what was the lyric content basically trying to say? Everyone's the same, or we're all from the blood of God, or
that is the fact that in order to live, the blood count cannot be lower than the average 5 quarts. Less than that, life is threatened. Yeah, Debbie, but it's also the truth that because of the blood, we continue to have life, and that more abundantly. You know what I'm saying? I bet you do that. It's the truth, y'all. Simply a fact.
I think it's part of it. I think it's a really cool take on, facts. There are facts, but the truth is, sometimes the truth is, regardless of what the facts are in society, I can't live without the Lord. Wow. And so Christians believe, I don't even say Christians, believers believe that, through the sacrifice or the bloodshed of one, all humanity is can be redeemed or has been made qualified to be what they originally were. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it was just, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to get clarification because a lot of blood discussion.
I was like, how am I going to answer that?
Now, we'll play a sample of that so people can feel and focus on the great vocal work and the keyboards, the whole album.
And the background vocals of one BB Winans.
Yeah, it sounds good. Our second song on this album is Simply a Fanatic. And this is where I feel it's this one's a little dated, and then only because I'm feeling a Pebbles Girlfriend vibe on it. Like it feels like there's a little, like if you could just change a couple chords and you got the Girlfriend song. It's definitely 90s. Yeah, it has a Whitney vibe to it. There's some keyboard stabs that kind of dated a little, but you're simply a fanatic for Jesus Christ. I wrote this could be a single. This would have if it wasn't a single.
And it should have been. Yeah. It should have been.
It could have been a single.
Just live the best you can, and I'm sure he'll understand. I don't know what they mean by that. Can't understand how they want me to act when all he's been is good. And if it was you who gave me life, then I would feel the same way. That's what they call me. That's what I am. Simply a fanatic for the one I love. That's what they call me. That's what I am. Simply a fanatic for the one I love. Some say I'm foolish. Some say I'm a weird.
It should have been. When I was younger, because I just graduated like 93, it's old. And this was one of my favorite songs on this project. I love Angie's little voice in the beginning, and then, they know their roles. Like, Angie's a finesser. She's going to just to do the song, and Debbie's going to give you all of it. You know what I'm saying? She's going to give you all of it when she comes in. And I love the production, of their time. And I love them. I love the way they described it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's a playful song too. What Angie says.
It's catchy.
Since you're a fanatic, go on and sing like a fanatic or something. It was really cool. Yeah.
It's catchy, and I know that "Light of Love" was the single, and I feel that it's a nice song, but it's a safe song. I think "Simply a Fanatic" would have been a better single.
Totally.
"He Lives" is the next track. And it's He Lives Inside of Me, Don't Worry.
Yes.
I Wouldn't, Don't Worry. It's a pretty song.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And when your day starts to fade, just say, I won't cry. I won't be in my trouble. I won't worry. He lives inside of me. I won't cry. I won't be in my trouble. I won't worry. He lives inside of me.
That's actually the one song that was produced by Angie's husband, Caldwell. That's the song I actually love. I love the way the snares, the drum sound, which are obviously programmed. I think Paul Jackson is playing guitar, but Cedric has been known to use a keyboard guitar, and you can't tell the difference. I love how they record it. Like it has like a watery, like a chorusy type feel. I love it. It's a very lush song.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now the next song is the single "Light of Love," and they do a remix in the number 12, the last song. And this is the thing about pop music at the time, is that the most overproduced, the most safest song, and is the one that they release as a single for some reason. They, like, in other words, I think they work this one to death, and then they're like, okay, it's single worthy, but it's a little bland, and it's only bland because of it's not, there's no risk taking here. It's very kind of big numbers, but I'm touched by the light of love. It's definitely like living my fantasy. I mean, you can sing this song and it's catchy. It's just that that's kind of how it works. Is that when they look at an album, they're like, okay, we worked to death this light of love. We want this to be a single. And then when it comes out, you're like, maybe you should have pushed back a little. You know, maybe it's overproduced just a little. It's dated just because of the fact that it's whatever the sound that they're doing here is not really prominent now, but it's good.
It was you who saved me. Sure as every breath I take, you changed my life. Shine upon me for everybody to see. And right now, I'm living the fantasy. Hope's been reborn in me. Truly, I've been touched by the light of love. You are the guiding light through all my darkest nights. I've been touched by the light of love.
I think that's like, if you really think about that song and the words, that's more like a BB and CC type song.
Definitely. This is totally
you can't like, and that's a big mistake. They tried to market them the same way as they're their own thing, you know. And they figured putting Whitney in the video would give them a boost, and it didn't.
Yeah. It's not the best. It's just not the best song on the album, but it's not bad. Now, Come to Me, I said single. This to me would be a single, and it rocks. And the programming of the keyboards are fantastic. And I feel the first song on Melodies of My Heart, Come Go With Me.
Let's go.
I think it takes elements from this song and puts it into the intro of the first song on that album, and it's good. This feels good. It's great to listen to.
That song feels good. It feels good. I always think of Babyface, and I think of TLC. David, but it's great. I love when that song comes on.
Yeah. I feel that had legs. That could have done something. Now,
exactly.
Love Stays is the very Whitney-esque ballad. I hear some sax. So when you listen to like urban gospel, you always think it's Kurt Whalen back there, unfairly. Like he's, like, oh, that must be Kurt Whalen. If it is, they didn't give him that much to do, but there is a sax player. I don't know who that is.
It might be Kurt Whalen. I have to look.
Yeah,
know.
I mean, if you
He
throw
was very much in that clique.
yeah,
so.
if you throw a rock in the river or in a pond and say Kurt Whalen, you're basically gonna hit him because he did so much work.
Yeah, he was very much in that whole clique. That's that Whitney, BBCC. He was in that.
Yeah, good.
That song was written by BB.
Yeah,
and you can tell if you know how he writes. I was like, yeah, that's BB all day long.
Yeah,
This is it's a great song.
It's a win. It's a good song. Yeah,
it's definitely a win.
We used to walk home after school and never broke one rule. Not a kind word left unspoken. Crossed our hearts and hoped to die, and now I wonder why our promises were broken. We felt our love was true. Yes, we felt our love was true. Yet time revealed the truth. Though it felt like love was just an imitation. Though it felt like love was just infatuation. You ask how I know. Well, 'cause love never goes safe through the hard times. Stays, yes, for all time. This whole world got me. Yesterday looks to me like I'm in bondage. Feels like head to toe I'm right. But do I give up all? What am I to do? Do I throw in the towel? Well, I said no, sir. She said I'm with you. You just stand your ground.
Flashback is, it's a kiss to the New Jack Swing era.
Totally.
It has a rap that uses the cadence of Heavy D. In fact, it feels like there's a Heavy D vibe to this.
Yeah.
The low voice. I don't know who this is. Is that Angie or Debbie?
That's Debbie.
Okay, so she's in another range that she's never at. I don't know if it's necessary, but it's very TLC. Like TLC does that.
I guess they thought that was like her thing, her superpower vocally, but she could do it.
It's jarring because the rest of the album's not like that, and you're like, why is she doing that? But
right.
But it's flash.
I just like that little. Like that little vocal line, but it's that whoa, it's unique. It's creative.
Yep, it's fun. It's a good song.
And I think on background vocals is Carving Winans. I'm sure. This is undeniable.
The 8 is What a Place. So they're talking about heaven. It's never too hot. It's never too cold.
Yes.
How can we live in heaven if we can't get along on earth?
Never too hot, and it's never too cold, and it's never too cold. It's a land where you never don't ever think about growing old. Don't need food, and you won't need money. Won't need money, 'cause it'll be flowing with milk and honey.
how can we live in heaven if we can't get along on earth? That's a really good question. It seems like with all, like, how can you, being a Christian, have all this animosity and hate in this world and then turn around and be really cool up in heaven? Like, then it turns on. It's just
right.
It's
which is interesting, you know, because there's a reference in the Bible. Like you're saying, how can? And, you know, there's a reference in the Bible that says, like, you know, if they'll only know who you are if you all have love for each other.
Yeah.
So you asking how can, like, yep, there it is, because you don't see the love.
Yeah. Well, this is practice. This is the practice playground for heaven. So
I like that song. I love actually how that track was put together. I love, like, the beginning. It's supposed to be like a rim shot, and it's like I love that, you know, and I love the background vocals on that song. I think the words are kind of genius. They're familiar words, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people go, "Oh yeah, that's cute." I think it's cute lyrically. Like, yeah, it's really clever.
It is clever.
You know, yeah.
The Father.
Dear Father, the world truly needs you now, and the time has come for you to show us the way. We are your young and sometimes need a guiding hand. It's you we turn to when we just can't understand.
Yeah, it has. I wrote.
Oh God!
They're either talking about the God, their father, like Mr. Winan, but there's another sax in there, and I'm like, oh, that must be Kurt Franklin again. I mean, Kurt Franklin, Kurt Whalen.
We don't want to see Kurt Franklin.
Yeah.
Listen,
has some drum patterns in there that are very similar to me of Sounds of Blackness. Like,
yeah.
Okay, you feel that.
The that is crazy.
Yeah, like it feels.
Yes.
It's
that song.
It's good.
I you know, again, that's an example of a good timeless song. Good example. And, you know, I love the words. So Father is basically referencing God. You know, to some people, God can operate in different capacities. And so when you say Father, you know, in their mind it's like, you know, a God who acts as a father. Even we know God is everything, father, mother, like everything. But in this song, they're calling on God to be a father. You know, and you know, two things that a real father should do, as in regards to all of us, his children. Musically, it's great. You know, you got the whole entire Winans family singing on the background along with Stephanie Mills. Great, and you can clearly hear Stephanie Mills in the background.
Yeah, this could have been a single. This has like legs where yeah.
We're on the same page.
Yeah, it's definitely a single material, and I think that's where I'm like, you know, you could pick these off a little more. Light of Love was an obvious.
It's the weakest.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Now, Brand New Dance is about praise. It has a snap like the group. I Got the Power and a soul to soul vibe. So
I like that.
Yeah, it kind of has just reminiscence of that time period of the drum pattern.
Get up, everybody. Time to let go. 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 Let them as you know causes joy to flow. Cash your cares and let go. It can make you feel much better. Oh.
A lot of great energy in that song. I want to say Rhett Lawrence or the producer Steve Harvey. One of those two produced that track because they were all over that album. I love the snare on that song. I love Debbie. I actually love Debbie's skin low on that song. Too. And B.B. Winans on the background vocals. And I think he co-wrote that song too.
All right, that makes sense. It has a BB-esque vibe to it. The big power ballad on this whole album, the big one that maybe Whitney had said, okay, you guys can have it, because she could have done this is why won't you let me love you?
Brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah. Now the only thing, this song is like awesome, perfect, amazing, something that you go back to over and over and over, and you can hear like Whitney would just do it a little differently. The only thing that I would say is that at the end there is that power ballad, bring it on home ending that Whitney could do, and that they kind of passed on. They but there's, hey, we're being critical.
Angie wrote that, and I think her husband produced it. You're right about the ending. I think it's really that song. She vocally, if they wanted to take it there, she probably couldn't go there. It's her voice is very distinct. It's just but yeah, I think that she wrote that song. But that song it pulls at your heart, man.
Oh, it's great.
It pulls at your heart.
And there's, I mean, it's just the critique is that if Whitney would have done it, she would have done it that power note, the long lasting kind of give me chills. Like, but there's nothing wrong with it the way it is. It's just that I'm like, I know Whitney would have just done something a little different. She
would have murdered that song. Yeah.
And it's murderable because it's a great song. So they should be really proud of it. But why won't you let me love you? If you were looking at who are they talking to, like the guide, who are they talking to?
So they're talking to humanity. So at that point, Angie is the voice of God. Why won't you let me love you? Why won't you let me care? All that I give to show you, because some people's hearts are closed off to the idea, or you know what I mean?
Awesome.
And the idea is that all God wants to do is just love us, because God is love. Just let me love you. That's all I want. Everything else, I'm not concerned about, because if it's real, then love is the thing that kind of changes people. But I just want to love you.
Awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
It makes more sense, because I'm like, wait a minute. This is gospel incest of some sort.
Right. Like, who's she saying it to?
Yeah. That makes more sense. Now, okay, so the reprise of "Don't Worry," "Don't Cry, Don't Worry" goes right into a remix of "Light of Love," which I don't think really elevates the song at all. It's not that much different, but
no, the remix is just okay.
Yeah. I don't even think I think it's even less single worthy. It feels even more labored on. So what we got out of it is that there was some really gems on this album, some big songs that we felt that would have been Simply a Fanatic would have been a good one. Come to Me would have been a great one.
That would have been a hit.
Yeah, Father, it would have been a great one. And even for fun, like a nice B side, even Flashback is a fun song.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It has a rope-a-dope style to it.
Yes.
As a whole, it's I see why this is high marks for you, but I ultimately feel that this is a story about you. This album is you and a story about you, because this is not. I guess when you go into the catalogs of what are the best albums of all time, you think of Tapestry or Songs in the Key of Life, or maybe even Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. So, any of those, if any of an artist would say, I want to talk about them, I would be like, okay, I get it. So here we have an Angie and Debbie album that was, a marginal hit, and it's kind of shelved. And it must have hit a nerve on you that it stuck in with you, and it became a part of you that makes it wonderful. So it's your story to this album that we're talking about it. It's your story about how it affects you is why we're talking about it today.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, not even good. It's true.
Yeah.
It's like your life is, has a history attached to this album in a positive way, where you're walking around saying this is a phenomenal album, where most of the world have moved on and looked at other things. Do you have a story that's attached to this? Like you said, you were younger when it came out, that you can say, okay, I remember this, and this was going on in my life. Do you have a connection like that?
I mean, I just remember, like, of course, I was a big, at that time in my life, I liked all kinds of music, always. But at that point, I was a real, like, a advocate. I don't know which more I could have done, but I was an advocate for, like, really good R&B themed gospel, Like, I wasn't satisfied with whoever was the top person at the time. Because there were so many great artists that were actually coming out, that were making great produced music that was relevant to what people are really listening to, and, when Angie and Debbie first, I was like, I remember them too, from singing background for BB and CC. Oh wow, that's deep. I want to, check it out. And when I heard the first single, I was like, okay, I knew this was going to be like an R&B type thing, but they were younger. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it goes back to my connection to my wanting to, like, push up, like, really good gospel, so people wouldn't think that gospel was corny. Like people like Tim Miner and people like Bernard Wright and all the stuff I listened to, but nobody in the church even listened to. I was always that person. You never heard of this guy? I liked the real deal. I didn't, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And so I think that's the first connection. And then just really just being into, like, I loved what they were saying for some reason. I loved how they said what they said, and I loved what they were saying. And I knew that to me, what they were saying was, I myself, at that time was very, very sincere. I mean, I still am, but, when I was young, sincere. An old man sincere. You know what I mean? But yeah, so.
And you just picked it up, and you're like, okay, does it give you, like, flashbacks of that time period, or do you, like, look at this now as a historical piece of music, saying, like, wow, that was pretty good, like, they did pretty good here?
Yeah, because when you're young, you listen to stuff, you like it. But when I went out for my walk that morning, I was in this whole thing of, like, listening to stuff that I used to listen to, like, a long time ago. And I pulled that thing out, and I think by the time I got to Flashback, I was like, this is amazing. Like, I was like, it still stands. It's not like you're enjoying it and, and reliving your youth. I was like, this still stands. And I'm just listening to everything now, like, really intently. Oh my God. Like, Stephanie Mills has one of those voices that however you mix it, it still stands out. Like, I guess that's how I was just so into it, you know. And everything that you said was what I was saying. Like, why did they put this out as a single? Like, you know what I mean?
It happens.
You know, I was like, I wish I worked for the record label then, because I'd be like, no, this is, you know, you know, great album.
Yeah,
great album.
Good. And now I'm really happy to have this in the collection of Why Is It Good.
I'm glad you took a chance, because you were giving me some titles that I knew I could talk about.
Yeah,
but
well, I wanted you to talk about it. I was pushing you to do the things I wanted. You know, I wanted Graffiti Bridge by Prince so bad. I can taste it. Darnell Miller, thank you very much for being my guest today. I'm so honored that I have friends of the podcast that I can reach out to often, who really exude their personality and are able to have the audience love them. I know that I always get great feedback when you're on and they love you. So I thank you very much for giving me that energy and that time of yours.
Oh, I appreciate you for thinking of me. I'm humbled. You know.
Now don't cry, don't worry. Now don't cry, don't worry. Now don't cry, don't worry. Please don't cry, don't worry. No, now don't cry, don't worry. Now don't cry, don't worry. Now don't cry, don't worry. Please don't cry, don't worry. Please don't. Now don't cry, don't worry. Now don't cry, don't worry inside. Now don't cry, don't worry. Please don't cry, don't worry. No, don't. Now don't cry, don't worry. Now don't cry, don't worry.
Something came from Baltimore. Something came